Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to WLTK-DB. Let's Talk Radio. Today is the reading show. That's always fun. That's always a good time. And it's our last show of 2022. So we did our last interview show on Wednesday, and this is our last reading show for the year. And then we're fresh off into 2023, and we're going to keep going, which is really exciting. Hello, Kevin. Great to see you. And it's really been just a cool year with radio in mind and podcasting in mind, thanks to Todd, because this was the first year that I was a part of WLTK-DB, and just what a great experience, you know? So I just always like to put it out there for people. If you are, passionate about sharing a topic, if you've been wanting to do this for a long time, it's such just a great company led by Todd. It's just such a great experience led by him. So yeah, come on down. I know the reason that I got involved, if you want to hear my side of it, is I've always loved radio, and I've always loved TV and media from a communication perspective, like a communication perspective of you get to share ideas, you get to share what you feel strong about, you get to share what you feel like you put your time and energy into, and you can create a dialogue sometimes with other people that are just as passionate or people who are learning, and you get to share your voice, and it's incredibly healing and exciting and inspiring, and it's just a whole lot of fun. So since I was a kid, I've always wanted to go into radio more, and some of the intro radio slots before digital radio were always at really weird hours of the night, and I was like, oh yeah, my sleeping schedule is so special that maybe I have to look at a different career instead of getting into radio in the middle of the night, the entry positions. But anyway, I've always, wanted to share a show, and it evolved into this, and I'm really grateful for it. And my passion, and you got to keep using that word passion, because it's going to fuel you through whatever circumstance you have, through whatever life issue, through whatever challenge. Your passion is going to drive you to complete and to continue to show up for the things that you love in life. And that's how you know you're on your path. That's how you know that your mind is not just getting you from A to B. Your goals are not just getting you from A to B, but it's your spirit, your passion, and it's bigger than your body, right? And that's how you keep showing up, and that's how you keep thinking and knowing, like, hey, I'd like to do this, or actually doing it. Hello. Hi, Jessie Cat. Hello. So we'll be starting readings in about a couple minutes. I always moving chairs too. I always talk for a little bit, and then away we go. And so with the reading show, for people who are coming in wondering how to get readings, you pop down your birth date. If you want a numerology reading, you pop down a general question, or you say I want a general reading, or some type of area of life you'd like to look into. And so I'll pull a card, or I'll do the numbers if I have your birth date. Or I'll feel it out too, and I'll just tell you where I'm coming from as I do it. And in the beginning, people start coming on in and they pop down their numbers here and there. But at the end, we really start going, right? And at the end, there's a lot of people who are asking for readings that don't get read. So I always say, pop down your question early if you do want a reading, because you're guaranteed to get it. And so I am big on consent with reading. So it's not enough to just say hi. You have to say, I want a reading, and please specify too. So that's how we do the reading show. Those are those are the things I go by. So, what I really just wanted to delve into was, I guess, talking about the radio show for a second. I did have a topic at hand, but I kind of just go with whatever is natural. And yeah, I started on in February. And so with the interview show, there's been 40 episodes, I think a little bit over 40, or we're maybe on yeah, a little bit over 40 episodes. And then of these, I'd have to count because I definitely count the interviews because it's connected to other people. But when I do the reading shows, it's just myself. So I am a little bit more at ease with it. Um, Gosh, I would say it's been about, like, 30 reading shows, maybe 20, something like that. I would have to look, I'd have to count. But, yeah, that's a lot of shows in 1 year, so about, like, 60 shows for sure in 1 year of the Psychic Hour, and how cool is that? And that was just birthed from, me wanting to do a radio show, me having a topic that I was passionate and a skill that I've been working on, you know, for a long time. And then someone else wonderful who, the same way, they're like, they have a skill, they have a passion, and you find people and you come together. And I guess that goes into the topic that I want to talk about. You have to, you can't do everything alone. And I realize that more and more in life. But, there's times where I dial back and I go, "Oh, okay, I could do this alone." Life is all about balance, but you really can't do most things alone. And, I used to be one of those people who are like, okay, all right, I'm gonna cook. Maybe I should learn how to garden. Maybe I should learn how to sew my own clothes. I'm like, I hate sewing though, but maybe I should do it, right? And it was just like, how many things can I do to be self-sufficient? And it's just like, maybe in business too, you think that way. How many things can I do to be self-sufficient? And really, the most successful way to do it is to have other people with you, because you should be just focusing on what you're good at. You should just be focusing on a couple of things, not everything. It will be exhausting, and it will not breed more energy. It will breed exhaustion. So, yeah, so I've been trying to definitely live my life where I just collaborate, and then you see what happens, and you learn things. You learn things from your relationships with people. You grow, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, or really it's a neutral thing. It's kind of just like mostly through the filter of our belief systems and our former experiences, why we experience extreme joy or extreme sorrow with any relationship. Oh man, I'm getting deep. But we're taught a lot of things, and I think the biggest thing is we can't just teach ourselves primarily. It's a very, yeah, of course we can, and of course it's great to teach ourselves, like self efficiency, self activation. Those are fantastic concepts, and I'll always root for those. But we can't just see and experience like through the lens of ourselves. It's a very narrow view. It's a very narrow view when there's like 8 billion people on the planet and the universe is so vast and expansive. And the whole point of being a spiritual person, at least in with mediumship, and even talking to a higher power like God, or the universe, I use basic concepts because we have so many diverse listeners with their belief systems. um it's about relinquishing your soul perspective and aligning yourself with something higher than yourself, something greater than yourself. And there's a full spectrum of people on earth, willing to be a part of the magic. They don't have to directly be a part of the magic, but like think about it. Whether you're scrolling through YouTube or reading a book, you might think you're isolated, but you're not. You're sharing ideas. You're sharing ideas with a bunch of people who have either uploaded their video or shared their heart or their belief systems or written from a book. And they say, hey, I'm sharing an idea. And, some ideas are unique. Some ideas are channeled, and we take pride in those, sure. But we're really just sharing a bunch of information all the time. And some of us have all these wonderful skills that aren't being used. So, don't be afraid to collaborate. Don't be afraid to come on board and share that energy. That's what life is about. And that's how we grow. We exponentially grow when there's other relationships around us that aren't just romantic relationships. Of course, we'll grow with romantic relationships too. It's relationships. But I guess it takes me back to kind of the two words that I was thinking of when I kind of sat down in this chair to start. I was thinking about the words leadership and empathy. And I think that's really important to talk about because when you have goals, you can be a part of someone's vision, all right? Or you can create and be the leader of your own vision. And I think that is a separate discussion in itself. I almost wanna, like, make it for a different radio show because I'm looking at the time and everything, it's hilarious, but that's how our minds go sometimes. We're like, "Whoa, I gotta get to readings." But for real, like, when you are a leader, you have to be incredibly empathetic of the people around you as you lead them, as you guide them, because you can't do it alone. You can't do your dream alone, especially the bigger that it gets, right? And with that, you also have to be leading the charge. So you can't like have complete empathy for everyone's problems and concerns because you have to get the job done. But at the same time, people have to be heard and listened to and understood. And so there's this balance of leadership and empathy when you are building your dreams and other people are on board. And both should be valued and both should be accounted for. I think the inspiration of why I was even talking about this, I'm on a tangent, but it's meaningful. It really is. Um, was when I first started, okay? When I first started like teaching classes, I have a very open mind. I do. And I want everyone to shine. And I know everyone has very different talents. We all have such different talents with being intuitives. So this is in the scope of intuition and intuition development and learning about your gifts. We're all so different, so there isn't one way to teach it, and there shouldn't ever be one way to teach it. There really shouldn't be. Um, and everybody has different interests, and so I'd bring people in the class and I'd be like, "Oh, like, I can suggest things, but has anyone, like, wanted to work on something particularly?" And it was like no one really knew because they came to class to be guided, and that's what I learned very early. It's like you kind of course, you put your, you know, finger on the situation. You are empathetic always, and you should be with people if you're guiding them. That can't be ever excluded. But you have to go, whoa, okay, I have to lead the energy. And so I have to actually not pay as much attention if I have to guide the full room to the individual. And that's understandable. And it lends itself to if an individual pipes up too much and is too interactive, you have to make sure that the group is working together and that the common goal or the common intention for how to start and end the class gets carried out. So it's like this balance of empathy and leadership. And I encourage that within you when you're starting all your goals. You have to be a leader of your passion. You have to be a leader of your goal. And whether it's like your family or your friends or let's say someone close to you that just doesn't understand, you can't let the feelings of how they feel about things dictate what needs to be done in your life. And I say that because there's so many people who have a passion for this work who just aren't doing it. They just aren't. They're like, do you really want to do that? Is that really a good idea? That sounds kind of weird. Or, yeah, good luck with that, you know? And oh, great, everyone's coming in and saying hi. I'm gonna say hi to everybody. So hi, I'll get back to that thought, but hi, Diane, Shelly, Casey, Teresa, Kelly, Angela. Hello, everybody. Julie, Tom, Sherry, or Shari. Thank you, everybody, for coming on in. And you have to lead what you know is true in your heart. You have to, you must. And when you're guiding other people, you do have to have that empathy, but there's the balance. There is the balance. And for other people who aren't coming along in the ride, it doesn't mean you have to excommunicate them. Maybe for some people, but doesn't mean you have to excommunicate them or burn bridges. You just have to lead your own stuff and just be like, hey, I got this. Like, hey, I got this. Or maybe you won't share as much with certain individuals as you're building because they're not along with you for that ride. They're along with you maybe for lifting you up in other areas, helping you out in other areas. Life is not black and white. And, the empathy and leadership situation too is not black and white when you do start to step you out into the world and you do start to deal with people, make decisions on how you want to grow or how do you want to work with others. So it's a kind of a conglomerate. It's a bunch of ideas kind of like pushed together. But that was on my mind when I sat down, and just the gratitude for having a show this year and going into next year and continuing on with the show with the Psychic Hour. Thank you everyone for being here and being a part of it. It really means a lot to me, and it also just makes me happy to be here. So thank you. So, all right, let's get into readings. Let's get into readings. Okay, so at the top, Jessie Cat would like a general reading. Absolutely. You're welcome. And then Diane, and then Shelly, and then Casey, and then we'll go from there. And then so I'm getting some hellos too. So we already got some people with how we're going to be doing readings, but if you would like a reading and you're just saying hello, make sure you say I would like to have a reading too, because I have to see that in order to go into your energy. All right. So, okay. So, Jessie Cat would like a general reading. We'll start opening up the energy. I'm going to pull some cards. That's always nice. Okay. All right. Okay. So I got a bunch of different cards. I didn't pull it because I actually saw it kind of fly out. So I'll just include it in the reading. But I got the career card. You always get the career card. It's so funny. But there was more themes important in lieu of that career card. So I got Master Your Own Fate, the Time Game, the Family card, and Unveiling the Mystery. And so the biggest theme kind of circulating around now is family and the time game. So it's about kind of putting a bunch of things with life in order so things can have its time and place, right? It's like life orchestrates itself in a certain way where sometimes we have a bunch of time and other times we don't have hardly any time at all, and we have to kind of make peace with that, right, within our own way, whether we're just like, great, I'm gonna create more, or I have to make peace with just dealing with this for now so then I can have more later, right? We gotta kind of dive in and kind of go, wow, how is life treating me this year, or where does things just go. And some of that, intuitively, and other parts you're like, on a reading show and you're like, hey, can you give me a forecast? I get it. But it's letting me know that really that family is going to be calling you back a lot, and that might cause you to feel frustrated because career doesn't have as much emphasis. And what's great about it is when we know that something excuse me, uh, been getting over a little cold. When we know that you might hear me going, "Excuse me," just heads up, everyone. So when we know that something's in the forefront, that's a good thing. We actually want to pay more attention to it because when we pay attention to something, we can have understanding and mastery with it rather than going, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is coming up. I wish I would just have a moment. I wish like things weren't so chaotic." Like you're almost disassociating and evaluating that it feels like a distraction, even though it's super important. So, what you do is you lean into family and you look for lessons within that family that help fuel your career in business because spirit leads us in certain places and they say, "Hey, this is important for soul involvement." And so, if you're in a place for soul involvement, then you're in soul involvement, and if we are in that energy, things start opening up. So what does that mean? Career will then open up. What does that mean? Money can potentially open up, just like career does. Emotional relationships and understanding open up. As long as we're in the energy we're supposed to be, we have these series of aha moments, aha moments, aha moments, and we start connecting things rather than feeling like we're juggling everything and they're separate. And if only we had more time to look in that direction and actually get started, if only we had time to actually pause and take a moment. But really, it's all connected. And when we are online, we can start making the bridges right and feel actually incredibly inspired by where life has taken us. So I give you that because like inspiration can really work beautifully with that sentiment and that synergy. Okay, synergy is really important when we are co-creating and wanting to forge the path, right? And I'm just seeing as I look at your cards that family is going to continuously call you back. So actually embrace that because your soul is supposed to be there. But that means that it's going to fuel the rest of what your soul work needs to do. And it's going to make you that dynamic person and go, aha, I needed to be here to see this and to see that. And now I see things actually a lot more clearly for what they are. And now I'm more connected to being a healer. And now I'm connected to being empathetic. And now I'm more connected to reading families. Now I'm more connected to understanding the home life because I see how it's all connected. And as long as you are present and as long as you find the reason why you are there and you're called back there for the great importance um, of your family and what other routine things you feel like, yeah, this is important, even though I wish I had more time. As long as you're in the areas that you keep following yourself, you keep pulling back to, there's great wisdom there. Your soul needs to be there to learn something. And then if you learn something, you can give that to another person. And that makes you quite a very perceptive and wise person, which what an intuitive needs to be really effective. So this is what I'm getting for you. This comes back to mastering your own fate. So understand why you are where you are, but continue to make intention around things as you make peace with things, not just succumbing, but to make peace and intention at the same time and to find how it's all connected. And that will help unravel the mystery. So things aren't going to be so straightforward going next year, maybe easier, but this is the great connector that I'm really feeling in your energy right now. So hope that makes sense. I got a small little I'm in Illinois, so I'm in a family member's basement for the holidays, and I had this little small desk, and I'm, like, balancing it, and I'm making sure I don't, like, cr hit my computer and it falls to the floor as I'm moving my cards around and my papers around. cool. I think she answered me earlier with something else. So she was saying, "Thank you for the lives that you do, Kelly. It helps a lot for us to understand some of the gifts um, this teacher has. And since I'm learning alone, this helps." Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's teachers of many forms, and I'm so blessed if you find teachings in what I share, because I really hope, and it's meaningful to me. It's really meaningful to me. So I'm honored if it's meaningful to you. Um, Happy to do so. So let's see here. Okay, Diane is next. And all right, let's go into readings. Okay, I think I'm back. That is so weird. My mic just automatically starts muting. I'm not sure why that happens. Um, Something to learn in the new year, right? Always something. Interesting. So, because I didn't click anything, and it just did it. Um, so Diane, so I'm going to start from the top. What I'm getting, so I got the inspiration card and feeling strong card, and some of the things that we're working towards for the future, and accurate, ac- ac- I can't say that word, self actualization. There you go. Now I can say it. And so it's like there's I'm aware of there's like a change going on, a change, and it's like been an immense journey of like of focusing on the self, strengthening the self, so healing yourself and learning how to trust yourself and being connected to your spirituality. And it's just a matter of it's like, what do I want to do next? And it's like not quite sure, but it's just like the journey still of trusting and healing yourself is still in effect, right? It's still in effect. You're still on the path with that. And so the cards of feeling strong and inspiration really come up with that the strongest. And there's energy resistance in that. We all have energy resistance. Sometimes I don't feel, you know, like confident, and that's a resistance I have within my energy. And so that feeling strong card highlights to also that confidence. It's like, where do I want to really put my time and energy? And do I really want this? And what do I really want? Right. And it's just about, don't worry, you're still on the path. Like, just continue to heal, just continue to trust, just continue to lean into the things that opened up your spirituality and make you feel good. Because it's like when we don't know what we feel and we don't know what we want, what we should do is to just reaffirm what helped us get there to that question so purely, and to help reaffirm what has made us formerly feel so much like ourselves, because after all, we want to feel like ourselves. That's what gives us confidence. We want to feel clear, bright, and strong and positive. So all those things that you have been doing, keep doing them, because that reaffirms the strength of that. And once we have more of the strength of that, we start going, oh, and I'd like to do this actually. And now, now that I'm feeling kind of more like myself, I remember that I would like to do that. And wouldn't it be great to do this, right? And so it's like we got to build up our energy to do that. And, and that's life. In certain areas, like we have our energy built up, and in other areas, we haven't had it built up. And it's due to, like, how life happened to us and how we survive sometimes. And so the card like I got around all this is like the time game. It's kind of like, well, like why don't I know? And I thought, some changes would come sooner. And why am I still feeling like this sometimes? And it's just like, don't worry, don't fret. Like it's changes. Some change is quick, and other change is meant to be longer. So we distill important learnings from it. If everything kind of changed like with a snap of a finger, it would be like, oh wow, yeah, I did it. And it's like, I don't know why it happened, but it just worked, and I'm really grateful it worked. And it's just like, we got to know why it worked, because it's about ourselves. It's about ourselves. Like, if we don't know why we're feeling bad, if we don't know why we're feeling good, and something just kind of worked and we're like, okay, cool. Like, we don't have the power to enact that again. We don't have the power to seize like how we got there and how to continue that. It's not a fluke. It's a power and a wisdom of to make ourselves strong and to know who we are, and then just go, this is my yes and this is my no. And that's me calling the shots. It's not in tow with anyone else. That's me. And I say no when it's not me. And so that's all coming into effect. And I hope that makes sense, and just keep doing the work, and keep going to, whether it's classes or conferences, or if you're reading books, or if you're listening to people you feel like, wow, I really like that. Keep going into the energy that makes you feel like, yeah, that feels more like myself, or I feel, wow, I feel really positive every time I'm doing this, because that's going to continue to make you feel and be confident and find that inspiration. And then it's you. You've learned about the energy. The energy called you back to invoke you, and then you, and then away you go. So just keep on feeling what it feels like to feel good, and you will find your strength, and you will find yourself even stronger. Okay. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. I appreciate Diane. Absolutely. Um, okay, Shelly. Okay. Oh, she gave me her numbers. So let's do Shelly's numbers. See, you'll see my desk moving as I'm writing. It's like trying to write so steady. Okay. Okay. Almost done. The first numerology, I always say, for people who've heard me say this before, it's like you're getting into the energy. So you kind of look at it, and then after that, away you go. It's like my brain works differently for cards than it does numbers. So I just ease into it very gently, and I understand that. Okay. Okay. I think that's right. Just checking the math on that now. Yep. Yep. That's right. Okay. So I'm writing this at the top for Shelly. So, Shelly, you are an attitude 5, a life path 4, and a personal day 2. And you're in a cycle of 2 going into a cycle of 3. And we're talking about this transition about cycles because every year we have a cycle, and it's a major thing within our life. And it's actually quite important for numerology reading. But we are going into next year. Right? So we have to account for kind of both cycles because we're right on the cusp of next year. So that's kind of fun with numerology when it's so close to the next year. So Shelly, it lets me know that you are a person who, has a very busy mind. You don't like to be bored, and you like variety. Traveling is really important. And as you've kind of grown, I'd have to look at your other numbers, but I'm going to say it like this. As you've grown, you've kind of you've learned to have more like balance in your life. That was something originally that wasn't always easy, and it's because you have the 5 and the 4, and the 5 and the 4 want very different things, right? The attitude of the 5 is like, I want to travel, I want to explore, I want to just enjoy life, and the 4 wants you to be practical, right? So the 4 in your placement is all about kind of like maturing and tempering your energy. And it's like you can use both together. Like and you have to because it's your energy. So you're both one who is very spontaneous, but actually someone who is very thought through. You are one that is organized, but not always in the traditional manner. Um, and so that comes forth in your energy, and that's great. That's great. It makes for an interesting personality. You're in a cycle of 2, and when someone's in a cycle of 2, it's like a much more always emotional year. It's a year of really getting to know oneself. And so what happens is in order to do that, we kind of have to be brought down to our knees a couple times and go, who am I really, and why am I feeling these things? And a lot of times we don't have time to think those questions and find those answers. But in a 2 year, we do because we are brought down to our knees to make sure we do it. So it's a year of kind of emotional triggers. It's a year of elation. But it's actually a quite difficult year of personal discoveries. Now, you have a 4 placement, so that kind of helps temper some of that difficulty. But within a 2 year, it definitely makes you understand the mechanics of why other people have done things to you and why you've reacted like certain ways. So I always kind of encourage people in a cycle 2 year. And so this is, 2022 for you, the cycle 2 year, just to be really connected to whether it's a healer or a therapist or anything that involves healing, restoration, and being like really gentle and kind with yourself, like where you can go within or even meditation, because you have to sort all that emotional energy bubbling up to the surface, because it's more intense that year. Now, going into next year, 2023, it's actually a much different vibration for you because you're in a 3. And that 3 means for 2023 for you, Shelly, that life will be more about kind of meeting new people, getting out of the house, and exerting what you learned this year. So you had a lot of aha moments this year. And so actually, it's time to put those to good use. And actually, it's beautiful for networking and actually beautiful for going forward for like business ideas or being in a place in business where you're like, yeah, this is actually what I want to do and what would actually make me happy. So whether you're leading or being a part of something, it makes you be in a place within your life where you're just like, okay, like I've officially let go of the past 5 years and I feel like I'm strong. I'm me. Okay. Like I feel like I've taken the reins on me. And so I actually think next year, you know, into January, 2023 is actually going to be a lot more like fun and interesting and social and transformative. So just know that all the work and everything that kind of bubbled up to the surface this year is like the wisdom of what's going to be utilized within next year to actually make you and your life more um present to where your hopes and dreams kind of were leading you. So that's what I'm getting. That's good. That's great. I actually like next year for you a lot. The journey continues with good stuff. A lot more. It's gonna be easier. It's gonna be a little easier. Okay. So then we have Casey, and then she's giving me numbers. Okay. Okay, so she gave me 2 sets of numbers. All right. Well, I can only do kind of 1 per person, so I'm sorry about that. I'll try to touch base on some things too. Um, I'll try to touch base on a little thing, a couple things with your husband. Okay, just putting. So you gave me two. I'm gonna do your husband first. Okay. Okay. Great. All right. So yeah, your husband. Double check the math on that one more time. Yeah. Okay. So your husband actually had more of a I would say like a difficult year this year. What's always interesting, because he's in a cycle 9 right now. What's always interesting is like a cycle 9 is about like transforming and basically embracing death of the former self. So what happens is there's a lot of things that change around us, because death is transformation. It's not like a grim sentiment. It's like a cycle is coming to an end and a fresh cycle ushers its way forward. So what happens is there's a lot of epiphanies. The rules are quite different of what works and what doesn't work for him. Sometimes family members pass away. There is that around a 9 cycle. And it's a time for like introspection, but there's so much kind of happening at the same time. You kind of can't keep still, but you're kind of like inundated by, multiple things where you go, whoa, this is like it's just a heavy year. Whether it's positive or more negative, it's a heavy year, because you're just kept busy. Things just keep happening, and you're just like kind of in the cycle of it. Right, and things just keep happening because I have to make sure they're coming to a close. It's like kind of like finishing strong, right? So like all this stuff just starts happening. um what's endearing about that is, so your husband is quite a talkative or social person naturally. Now, some attitude threes aren't always like this with other people, but anytime they're comfortable and they feel like they're trusting of another person, they're actually quite incredibly talkative people. Like naturally they can be on the phone for hours or talk to people for hours and hours, and it's just like something they naturally can do, and it makes them feel good. So your husband is one to share what's on his mind as long as he feels open and comfortable. So I encourage you to have that dialogue and just check in on him, especially just like I think it's important to talk about just the totality of the year, like, and what it meant to him, and that might be actually eye opening for you, or it might be like, oh yeah, like, yeah, we need to talk about that because so much stuff has happened, even though I'm familiar with so much stuff has happened. So that comes into the forefront. And your husband also has very leadership numbers. So he has the natural people skills if he leans into that. And then he's a life path 1 and a personal day 1. So actually people naturally can very much so look up to your husband, because he actually has very strong energy, and he has energy for leadership on top of that. So I just like to remind people their strengths when I see it in their chart. So that comes up into next year, so 2023. I actually do think it'll be much more incredibly uh, more open for his energy, because it's all about starting the new cycle. And so when we start a new cycle, we do feel like an enormous load lifted off of our shoulders in some sense. And so it will be a much more easygoing year. It's also when we have a lot of 1 energy. So your husband's going to a cycle of 1 next year. We have this newfound enthusiasm for goals, whether it's like hitting the gym or exploring a new idea or researching something or starting a new hobby. There's this new opening up of energy just to encourage that. And sometimes people feel kind of hard on themselves when they feel like they're like, oh, I need to keep up on it. I need to keep up on it. Great thing is there's like that natural rush to do that. So they're kind of like they have this self-sustained rocket, but just to encourage that and keep giving more rocket fuel, because it's like it's very healing, and it's very powerful to really follow that, to open up a new cycle of energy of who that individual wants to be, who your husband wants to be, and what he wants to do, and to really fuel all that enthusiasm, because other years won't naturally breed that enthusiasm. So really stoke that fire. That comes into play. And then as I pull one number for you, Casey, let's see, you're a 9, so you're in a cycle of 6, and you're going into a 7. So 6 this year was a lot about family for you, and like really managing things like from an emotional sense and a group sense, a family sense, right? A foundational sense of what really works, and how to improve things within those relationships, in those tight group and really close to the heart relationships, and what you will allow, and what's changing, and what's new, and what's really going to work going forward, because it has to change in order to get better. It has to change in order to help, and it has to change in order for you to feel good about how you're living your life. And then we go into 7 for you, and 7 is it's always a very spiritually minded year. For people who are learning about spirituality, it's a very cerebral and logical year. But for those who have embraced spirituality and has meaning for them, it's all about going within and really kind of connecting the dots. You review your life in a very analytical way, and you're just like, okay, I need to have time to really get my head straight. And it's almost like plans. I always tell people plans kind of change or break to allow you to slow down and not have a as busy year, because you need to really get in touch with your truth. Get in touch with your truth and what things are lining up for you, on the truest levels and on the deepest levels, and you have to go within for that. So, okay, those are some themes. And let's see, Casey, I always scroll down. And before Shelly, thank you so much. I'm glad, Shelly, that made sense. And sometimes when I give readings, people pop in and out, so I always check. So Casey, if that makes sense, you can let me know. And then we're going to, I think Kelly is next. Hello, to a fellow Kelly. Oh, and she gave me her, okay, she wants to know about 2023, and she would like a reading, so she gave me her numbers. Okay, excellent. Just taking, always, she's the year of the fire horse. Every time I see 1966, I'm aware of the year of the fire horse. And people who have fire horse energy are very like buck wild people at heart. You can't tell them what to do, because fire is like a very impassioned energy. And a horse is all about like the need for freedom. They can't be tamed, or they don't want to be, at least, right? So you have a very strong and fiery personality. It could be for injustices. It could, I believe, or you just can't be held down, and that's always fun to see. So okay, so let's go into numbers. Okay, cool. Oh, wow, even more so. So you're an attitude 1 when I say that too as well. And when someone's an attitude 1, they very much can't be told what to do. So even more so, isn't that so fun? Um, attitude 1 energy is very much. I'm gonna go into 2023 like you asked, but I'll just highlight that. I'll just look at that, and I'll go to 2023. Attitude 1, like, you can give them advice, but if they don't like the advice, they'll just be like, yeah, that's great, but I'm gonna go do my own thing. This is my life. So, no ever, one, it's great to be open-minded because not that someone needs to tell you what to do, but sometimes they can give you trinkles of inspiration to feel what is right in your heart. And that's a great attribute because no one can really mess with your head. And if you ever find that you don't know what to do, that is an extreme sign of stress. Because I've talked to people who are attitude ones, and when they're really like, I don't know what to do, I'm not quite sure, that lets me know that they're really going through something in life, and that's like a warning sign of self-care and just needing to get that alone time to re-strengthen the focus and re-strengthen the clarity and balancing of the mind. And even what happens is a lot of ones leave their body. They leave their body because a one vibration is such a mental frequency. And so they'll leave their body when they're stressed even more likely, and their body kind of gets forgotten, like whether it be, back issues, or super tense, or not just taking care of things like diet as well naturally. So it's just really get in touch with your stressors, and that's like an indication. And also just really have a really healthy and strong relationship between your body and mind, and actually you'll be a powerhouse with that, because you have such high mental energy that you do need the balancing of your body. So if you have those two, woof, potent energy, like good energy, awesome energy. So just giving that out. And then you want to know about 2023. Okay, so you're gonna be an 8. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's important. So when someone's in a cycle 8, and so that's 2023 for you, the concepts are all about like truth and consequence and power. It's like a very weighty number. And so what happens, because it's such a physical vibration, 8, is that your body starts acting up. Your body starts acting up because your body goes, okay, let's bring the truth to the surface. And the consequences are so you can pay attention to the truth, or the truth helps avoid the consequences. It's all connected, but no matter what, you're led to truth and consequence based on what physically is happening within your life. And so that physical vibration really highlights what's going on with the body. So it's a very important year to take care of your body. We're going back to body, right? When I left body, we're going right back to it. Spirit is funny like that. And it's all about whether it's getting a checkup or doing the things that you need to be doing, because the body is finite. The mind is quite limitless, but the body is quite finite. And the mind is encased in a physical brain, and so the physical brain will contribute to limitations of the mind because the mind and the soul are cased in a physical vessel. So it's very important to take that seriously if you want to continue to feel free and feel the utmost like yourself. So, really, really take extra care of body, really, really go in for a checkup, and or be on top of symptoms that are highlighting and surfacing. That always comes up strong. Anytime somebody has an 8-year 2, it's also linked to money, because money is a very physical vibration. It's a physical symbol. And so it can highlight consequences with money or very abundant flow with money. So just be more in touch with what cycles of money are going on with your life, and really be on top of that, because you can actually alleviate issues, or issues compound itself during this year. It's almost like there's more frustration or there's more luck. Okay, so understand about the duality of power. When I say this year is all about truth, power, and consequence. And so what's really coming in strong is pay attention to that body, strengthen that body, learn about your body, and it will bring much more abundance into your life very effortlessly when that is given its grace. So I'm going to love and leave you with that. And that was for Kelly. So you can pop in if that makes sense. And Casey, I'm glad. Oh, awesome, Casey. I'm glad that resonates. I'm like reading things as the comments come in a little bit later. Oh, Michael, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's awesome. Thank you, Michael. You guys are amazing. I always appreciate the feedback. Let's see here. So we are coming to a close. I'm going to read some final comments. I'll read some final comments, but I'll be back next week. In fact, I wanted to do, it's kind of what I wanted to do. And like every time there's like a new year, there's like all this energy that needs to be sorted out. So I try to make it more like easygoing. What I wanted to do for the new year, for the 4th and for the 6th, they're going to be both reading shows. On the 6th, we're going to be having Debbie Romero on. So she's going to be like a guest. We're going to like talk to her, but we're primarily going to focus on readings for the new year and like psychic readings, and taking questions and stuff like that. So it's going to be like a little bit of interview, but mostly just a reading show. And so Debbie has volunteered to do that because she's awesome and she's down for readings, and it's always just super fun. So we're going to start the new year like that. So we'll be having a lot of reading opportunities, and then we're going to continue on with the year of the interview show as well as the reading show. So that's how we're going. I want to say thank you for everyone for coming. We'll pull one random card before we go, but I want to say thank you to Julie, let's say Space Plum, Kevin, Sherry, and Shari, Sue, Casey. I'm like looking at all the names. Karen, Laura. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm gonna pull one card. Let's see. Who was, trying to look at the original track. Going at the top. Okay, Angela was at the top. I'm going to pull a card for you, Angela, and we will end on that note. Always try to pull as much as I can before I leave. I really do. That's important. We're getting a lot of cards with Master of Your Own Fate. Isn't that so fitting for the new year? It's like, we're the ones that shape. We're the ones that shape. We're the co-creators, you know? We're the co-creators of life. And whether you've heard this before, I'm sure, whether you believe you can or can't do it, you're right. So what do you believe? Because you get to co-create when it comes to other people and other circumstances. Yeah, that's life's funny like that, and we do share a lot of energy, so life is very funny. But when it comes to us, we actually can co-create and control. I know that sounds really odd, and it's more so co-master. We get to co-master the fate of our lives. Okay, and that's powerful stuff. So what do you want your life to be? You get to make it, and it's only by limit of belief. It doesn't have to be exactly, what you think it's going to look like. You have to believe that you're going to get it, even though sometimes you don't recognize it as it's coming to you, or when you think all hope is lost, that it's still right around the corner. Just keep going. It's there. Like, your intention is so powerful that it will always be there. If you if you want to find it, it's out there waiting for you. It's not on a timeline that we expect. So sometimes we go, guess it didn't work. No, if you believe it, it's out there. You got to find it. It's waiting for you. Don't give up hope. Okay. So, Angela, I pulled one card for you, but okay, cool. This is your second card. So, Angela, the cards that come up are Summer Song and Master Your Own Fate. And when I get the Summer Song card, it's all about you're not having enough fun in your life. Or go take a vacation. Go have fun. Life is meant to be lived. The most valuable currency is not money. The most valuable currency is happiness. All right? What we experience, like, what do we want our life to be about? Okay? What do we really want? Okay? So there's so many creative and fun ways to experience joy and pleasure and happiness and to do what we really want. Like a lot of things that within my life, Angela. So I'm just giving you a little bit of something that pops up in my head when I talk to you about this. A lot of the things that I wanted to do in my life that were obstacles, I either saved a lot, so I got really creative. So I was able to do things that were quite expensive because I saved and I made sacrifices in other areas. So I always had enough when it came time, or I'd get magical help. I was always grateful for that. Something would just come my way. Someone would help me and the path would open. And so I was like, Thank you." I was in gratitude. Or also, if I'd find something I wanted to research, learn about, or do, I'm telling you, there's so many free ways. There's so many free ways to experience, like, or learn. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. And so it's like, get creative and have your joy. Like, I'm telling you, there's so much freedom with what we can have with joy. There's so much freedom that what we can have with fun that literally anyone has access to it. So those are some thoughts that come up when I kind of like tune into your energy for some reason. But the summer song card is like you need to infuse that fun within your life, and that will help actually give you the energy to master your own fate because you need to follow your joy. And so if we're so, you know, rigorous with going like I have to do this, I have to take care of that, I have to take care of that in order to be successful, or if I have to take to get ends meet, or this is a responsible thing to do, um, sure, I understand why, but if that's the only focus and vibration at hand, what happens is like, how do we learn how to follow what feels right to us? How do we learn how to follow our own joy if we're constantly like putting these constraints on ourselves? And like the spirit is connected to joy, it's connected to the excitement and beauty of life, the sacredness of life. And sacredness is not rigid. We make space for sacredness. We give we slow down time to appreciate for what's sacred. Like, think about that from for anybody you've ever looked up to, or like whether it's a leader, or whether someone's really good at a skill, or someone's in the public eye. You don't just like rush that experience. Like, you kind of go like, oh, like what they have to do and say is what they have to say is important. Or like if you're at an event or arena, right, if you paid tickets for something, you savor what you pay tickets to. Well, it's like we have, that's the vibration we should be in when we are tending to ourselves and manifesting, who we are. We should treat ourselves as sacred. We should treat our ideas as important. We should, give time and reverence to what makes us wonderful. In order to do that, we have to experience joy. So don't just experience joy through others, experience joy through activating that through yourself too. Okay? I the only reason I say that, because sometimes people put all their time and then energy into like paying for concert tickets, and they're like, that's where my joy will be. And it's just like, well, you're paying somebody to activate your joy. You're paying someone to activate your joy. Just think about that concept. Just like, we are fantastically wonderful spiritual balls of energy, of light, and we need to activate that joy inside of us. Activate that joy inside of us. I don't know why I'm on that tangent. There's a reason for it, and I just honor it. So you got the summer song card, activate that joy, and it will help you to feel like you're more in control of your life. And that's how it goes. So scrolling down to the bottom, getting some last comments in here. Thank you everyone for coming in. Catherine and Laura. I'm at the end of the show. I will be here next week. I do readings always on Fridays. And so you always have an opportunity to come in for a reading, and put down your numbers towards the beginning, or put down your question towards the beginning, because you're guaranteed to get in that way. It gets quite busy at the end. I always say thank you everyone for being with me for 2022. It's been an immense pleasure. And then, thanks, Kelly, too, as well. I really appreciate it. I will see you in a couple of days, aka next year. Please be well. Go with love, luck, light, and don't forget to live, everybody. Take care. Bye. Happy New Year.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.